Hello and welcome back to my little cardboard workshop. The shot we just saw featured my recently repaired Gibraltar Silver Spirit, but this video isn't actually about that boat. It's about the white hull that was sitting alone and abandoned on the beach in the foreground. This thing, which I recently bought at a car boot sale for the princely sum of £3. Before buying the boat, I did ask the seller whether it worked, and he assured me that it does, but that he was unable to find the transmitter. I suspected that this was code for "it doesn't work, mate," but I bought it anyway because at that price, who's complaining? It's got two brushed 380 size motors in it and an antique 49 megahertz receiver cum speed controller circuit board. It doesn't have a rudder. Like many budget, pretty much toy grade RC boats, it relies on differential thrust from its two screws to steer it. If I just remove this cover, we can see the two motors. I did tell you they were 380s, but actually looking at them I think they're 370s. And the receiver box, which also houses the speed controller. My plan therefore is to cut away the shattered remnants of this diving platform, install a steering servo and an ordinary speed controller along with a 2.4 gigahertz receiver. There. That looks better already. I've removed the steering wheel because it was mounted very low, and there was a big bulge here which I've removed. Inside the boat I made a cardboard template, and using that made a bracket to support the servo which used to operate the throttle on the Gibraltar Silver Spirit. And this will now operate the rudder. This gentleman has kindly agreed to act as the driver of the boat. I may make some changes to him. I think I'll paint his hair a darker colour. And I've also made him this seat, which I cut from a steel condiments bin, a tip I learned from Old Iron RC. And this binnacle which holds the steering wheel, which I've made from styrene. It'll hold the wheel up at the right height for him. Here's the driver. While I was painting his hair a darker colour, I realised he had a beard, so I did his eyebrows and beard as well, and I've just realised that he now resembles a certain well-known British automotive journalist quite a lot, but we'll gloss over that. Here then is our driver in his cockpit holding the steering wheel. I wanted to have a way to remove him easily from the seat for towing, so I've stuck to the underside of his torso a magnet which I pillaged from the hard drive of a dead computer. Here we have the basic ingredients for the rudder: two pieces hand cut from styrene and two tiny hinges from Amazon. They're mild steel, but that'll be fine. So this then is the rudder setup. Pretty basic, non-adjustable. I'll have to trim it physically and then use the trim on the transmitter to set it up finally. I've rotated Treebox 90 degrees to give me room for the boat's battery to go here, and cut a new little notch here to accommodate the wiring. I've stuffed a plastic bag full of wine corks into the nose cone and added some expanded polystyrene on either side to aid with flotation. And I've also peeled the garish stickers off the sides. I found that I had to trim away part of the interior to accommodate my newfound rudder linkage. I've been able to cover it with a piece trimmed from the cockpit of a 1/12 scale F1 car. I first got involved with speedboats in the 1980s while knocking around South America, and I remember those boats as always being in bright, cheerful, lurid colours like this sort of bright red. Later on, however, I found myself working as a boat repair person at a marina in Gibraltar at the very, very southern end of Spain. It's only 11 miles from there to Africa. And on my first day I went with my boss down to the marina, and I was surprised to see rows and rows of speedboats, which were unusual in that they were all either matte blue, matte grey or matte black, and none of them had a windscreen. I said to my boss, "What's going on with all these boats?" And he said, "They're fast cargo launches. They go over to Morocco." If you do visit Morocco at some point, you'll probably end up visiting the souk, which is a sort of bright, cheerful, colourful market that sells all sorts of local products. It's divided into areas, so there's an area where there are people busily hammering copper and brass sheet into ashtrays and lamps. You'll go round a corner and you'll be in the spices market, and there'll be rows and rows of open baskets full of brightly coloured, wonderful smelling aromatic spices. Go round another corner and you'll be in a different area again. There are whole streets where you can buy nothing but different sorts of tapestries, rugs and carpets. And I realised that these fast cargo launches must be there in order to move this product across the Straits of Gibraltar from Africa to Europe as quickly as possible. I've long wanted to make a model of one of these fast cargo launches, and it's for this reason that I've refrained from fitting a windscreen to this, and I've finished it in a sort of light grey. I've also given it just one seat, leaving a large open cargo area where I can stack bales of brass ashtrays and tightly wrapped tapestries and rugs. Steering. And throttle. Good. Okay guys, I have to tell you that the video we're about to watch is incomplete. I had already shot all the sequences I wanted to shoot except the bit where the boat goes out across the sea to Morocco and then comes back laden with goods. So my wife very kindly gave up her Sunday and drove me to the seaside, and I set up the GoPro in the boat looking forwards and filmed the boat driving out to sea, so all you could see was the blue horizon for about 20 or 30 seconds. That was supposed to be the outward trip. Then I brought it back to shore, loaded it up with bales of ashtrays and lamps and carpets, and sent it out again towards the horizon for about 20 or 30 seconds. When I tried to turn round, however, the rudder jammed hard left and the boat started going round in circles. I jumped into the sea to swim out to try and rescue the boat, and not taking into account the fact that there was a very strong offshore breeze, swam and swam and swam until I realised at last that the boat was being blown offshore at about the same speed I was swimming, and that I was never going to actually reach it. So once I realised that, I turned round to try and swim ashore and saw to my horror that the shore was a lot further away than I would have expected. And as I started to swim back towards it, I rapidly ran out of strength and I got into real difficulties. With the last of my strength, I waved one arm above my head. My wife, who was on the beach, saw this and started shouting for help. Independently, two guys jumped up and ran towards me, jumped into the sea and swam out and towed me ashore, taking turns so that when one was exhausted, the other would take over, and they managed to get me back to a point where we could all three stand, and we trudged ashore. If it hadn't been for those guys, I'm certain I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you now. And it just serves as a reminder that no toy boat, no GoPro and no favourite lipo are worth risking a life for. So I'll forever be grateful to those two strangers who saved me today, and I'm very sorry, but the middle of the video is missing. Let's watch what there is of it.